I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the 6-Minute Obsession, where we're going to take zero point 0.2 billable hours of your time to make you a much more effective attorney for the rest of the day, hopefully. My name is Dr. Mark Kosman. I'm your co-host here, and I'm here with the star of your show, attorney Robert Graff. Hey, Rob.
Morning, Dr. Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well this morning. So I guess we're talking about the vision thing today, huh? What are we talking about here?
We are. Well, 2 episodes ago, we talked about your ideal work-life balance, and it was imagine working at your ideal law firm. We all have visions. We all see what we hope our futures are going to be like, but it's about figuring out what's that daydream that you're having and where the reality comes in and what is really reasonable and achievable for you to meet your vision and your goal of actually working at that ideal law firm and having that ideal work-life balance, so that eventually you don't have to feel worried about the endless hours spent at work and the pain you feel sitting at work, sitting behind a desk, never really leaving.
Okay, and so we're talking about the pros and cons of your vision. It's interesting that the topic even, because I usually think of having a vision as just a positive thing. So, but you're saying be honest with what your vision is of the future. So let's dig in a little bit and help me understand the con part a little bit.
Well, all our actions have effects on other people. We don't live in a little bubble where we can just go throughout our days not having an effect on other people, even going so far as the butterfly effect, let's say. But let's say we have a vision that we want to start our own law firm and we want to get rid of billable hours, or we want to work extra hours each week so that we can bill twice the number of hours that we can normally bill. That's going to have an effect on other people in our lives, other people we work with, our clients. It's going to have an effect on all of them. And what are some of those? You have to look and balance out those negative effects and how they're going to affect other people, because as I said, your actions have ramifications on other people. So it's looking at those cons. Well, if I spend more hours at work, I'm not going to have time with my family. If I spend more time at home with my family, I'm not going to have as many. I'm not going to be able to bill as many hours, and therefore I may lose my job. Things along those lines. So you have to look at those cons, saying, well, I could sit all day. My vision is to lay in bed all day. But if I lay in bed all day, which is really what I want to do with my life, well, how is that going to...
How did you know, Rob?
you can't earn money laying in bed. So how am I going to earn that money? And those are some of the cons of the vision. And it's not achievable to say, well, I want to make $1 million, and then say, but at the same time, I want to lay in bed all day, unless you somehow are able to win.
So you're saying when you're asking an attorney in a coaching capacity to be honest about their vision, it sounds like you're looking for things that sort of are contradictory in that vision. Like I want this and I want this. Well, these things are mutually exclusive, right? So is that kind of part of this honesty piece?
It is, and it's about making that choice and making that conscious choice of how eventually to lay out that vision. And sometimes we have to compromise, but even making that compromise is a choice. And you'll feel better once you've made that choice. But it's about being reasonable, because if you set an unreasonable goal, you're gonna meet disappointment, you're gonna meet failure. And how do you respond to failure? Your life could be blown up because of that failure, that definition of how you wanted your vision to look. If it's not reasonable, if it's something that doesn't work within the frame and the scheme of how your daily life works, then it's not a reasonable and achievable goal that you're setting.
Right. Now, I've watched people, and I'm sure you have as well too, that set a kind of vision or a goal, and they really haven't thought through whether it actually is going to make them happy, is really going to improve the quality of their life. So if they've set themselves up to have more billable hours than ever before, and it's going to make them miserable, that might not be such a great vision after all, right? Right,
exactly. And really it's about setting those goals for yourself first and then laying it out. So you have to make a list. Well, I hate to say this, but a flowchart. I was never a big flowchart fan. We were taught how to do them in law school. I still don't get how to do them. But laying out a flowchart, well, if this happens, then what happens next? And how can I make that decision? And it's about laying out meta plans for the big overarching goal that you have, because eventually you're going to run into a conflict and you're going to run into a situation where you have to make that choice, and it's going to be possibly a value choice, which is sort of what we talked about last week. And it's about coming to that conclusion and how to best reach that decision where you're happy, where others are happy, and where you're achieving that success that you want to have.
Right, and so because there's no universal blueprint to draw on here, right? We're talking about, a vision that's based on my personal values and how I want to live my life and what gives me that sense of work-life balance. So I guess I can't rely on you, Rob, to tell me the right thing to do here. There's no right or wrong list to check off that says I've got the right vision.
No, you have to be as honest with yourself.
I want it easy, man.
Well, we all do, and the best I can offer for that is that being on a journey is actually a goal in itself. Experiencing, making this list and experiencing deciding what your vision is and experiencing putting it into action is actually could be your goal, and it's a goal in itself. And by recognizing that it's actually a goal in itself to be on that journey and not finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but actually being on the journey to find that pot of gold, then you've won. Then you have that better experience in the end.
I think that's a great point because when you say that I want my life to be in better balance or have a work-life balance, that's not really a destination, right? That's a process. That's a day-to-day lived experience, not an outcome that's down the road that I'm going to achieve. It's like how do I live in balance moment by moment, right?
Exactly. And saying that we're on the journey, it's very Jack Kerouac.
It's very touchy-feely, man.
It is,
dude.
But it is a part of the process, and we're living that every day. And and if it can be accepted that is part of the goal, then your visions, no matter what it is, you're able to set that vision and follow through with it because it might change along the way. No visions have ever not hit a bumpy road. No goals have not reached some challenges, and it's about figuring out those opportunities in those challenges. But by laying out something that's reasonable and achievable, and by seeing the pros and cons and how they affect others, you can affect a goal that can actually be reached, and you can see that pot of gold and strive towards it, but experience everything along the way, and you'll be a better person in the end because of it.
Mm-hmm. And so you really encourage people to really spend some time on this process, not just jot things down, in 0.1 billable hours. You think we should spend a little more time than 6 minutes on this?
Oh, definitely. You need to have that time to really. It's a quiet time, a quiet time where there's no distractions and nothing around you to really figure out what you want and what your goals are and how you want to achieve them and what could be some negatives. As you brought up right in the beginning, Dr. Mark, it's about seeing those negatives and how those negatives affect people, but also looking at those positives and seeing how you can achieve them and what will happen when you do achieve them and feeling that good feeling. Of course, the question I ask then is, well, why can't you feel that feeling right now? But it's really about looking into yourself and not having the distractions around you when setting these lists and setting these goals, because if you do, it's not going to be what you truly want because that your energy will be very unfocused on the task at hand.
And so this is really about being true to yourself, right? It doesn't have to be all touchy-feely kind of. If I'm a type A alpha competitive kind of, and I thrive and get my energy out of winning, it can be about that too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's making sure that I'm doing what feels right and what's kind of what I'm in harmony with for myself.
And it's important. That's the ultimate goal. We want to be true to ourselves. We want the vision that I'm suggesting that you set. It is about being true to yourself and finding your path in life. And so it all stems down to that. I think we spoke about that on one of the first shows, is being who you are and being that genuine you.
Right. It's not adopting some ideal kind of set of values of what the perfect attorney looks like. It's how do you want to live your life? How are you shaping your personality in this career and making it fit, essentially? And if it's all about work-life balance, that's awesome. If it's all about being a better competitor and closing more business or being a rainmaker, that's great too, right?
Exactly. It's about fitting ourselves into the world as how we energetically approach it and how we energetically feel that we can handle all the tasks at hand. But creating that list, giving us something concrete, often aids people, especially attorneys. I feel I've been told, well, why didn't you switch to all digital? I can't switch to all digital. I still need paperwork in my hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about having something tangible, something that you can check off a list, something that you can look at and see visually as to how things work, yes or no. It is, for me, my suggestion is the best way to actually do everything, and to
Okay.
actually make sure that you're on that right path, and to make sure that
Right.
you've set that goal to reach that right path.
So to recap, we're talking about the pros and cons of, as you're really doing this envisioning process, visioning this future, this ideal, your personal ideal, not ideal in some universal sense, when you're coming up with that. So it's about being honest with yourself. It's about understanding that this is your list. There's no outside right or wrong. There's nobody judging this list, and really taking the time so that you're making it personal, and you're not letting other influences creep in about the way you should practice as an attorney. So am I recapping well?
You are very well.
Anything else that we want to add on this topic here? Because I think it's an important one, even though we're trying to be concise here and keep it to just 0.2 billable hours, but this is a big topic.
The only thing that I want to add is that there's no right or wrong. Your vision's your vision, and
Right.
Nothing's wrong with what you write.
Okay, so it's personal. So I mean, obviously, we're just barely skimming the surface of a topic this deep. If we've touched a nerve, Rob, for someone who's watching this right now, I mean, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you and take a next step, and maybe they haven't decided that they want to go the coaching route, but what's the first step they should take to learn more and engage with you?
I'm offering a free 30-minute session. Sign up. It's on my website. Website's below. It's graffstandard.com. Come visit us on the website and contact us if you feel that we're touching a nerve.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this episode on graffstandard.com, or come on over and click on the blog and find one of the episodes here, all of them, they're all fun. But subscribe in the box that's right below there, and you'll get notifications about what's coming up next. So I think we're about out of time, Rob, so I'm going to call a wrap here and say this has been another episode of the 6-Minute Obsession. We will be back at you next week with another episode.
All right, have a good one.